Lego products are becoming increasingly violent as toy makers engage in an arms race to catch children's attention in the digital age. That's according to a new study. Researchers say bricks with weapons have steadily become more commonplace and are now included in 30% of Lego kits. Well, joining me now from Christchurch, New Zealand is the lead researcher of the study, Dr. Christoph Bartnek from Canterbury University. And firstly, was there a concern with Lego products in particular, or was Lego just being used as an example of toys in general?
Now, there are some properties about the Lego product which made it such a good study object. Many toys that were around in the 70s are not there anymore. They just went out of the market. So Lego is one of the few toy companies that's been around for such a long time, so it allows us to study how toys have changed. And second, the Lego system itself stayed stable, so the bricks of today still fit on any brick like from 50 years ago. So the brick has stayed the same, but what you do with the brick has changed, and that's why this is just such a good study object. But I suppose if you would run the same kind of analysis on other toys, you would probably find similar results.
And Dr. Bartnek, I understand you even looked at facial expressions of the Lego men and women. But what other things were you looking for in order to determine whether Lego had become more violent?
Well, our study consisted of two parts. In the first instance, we simply counted the number of weapon bricks you would find in the Lego sets. And that has changed. In 1978, you would have 2 to 3% of the sets would contain a weapon brick, and today this is around 30%, so there is a change. And in the second stage, we were interested in seeing the actual Lego sets in a context of play. So Lego is producing every year an elaborate catalog, and that shows the products in how Lego imagines you should or even could be playing with this. And we then had all of these pages, all these catalogs rated by hundreds of people along several dimensions of violence. And it became very clear that the annual increase in probability of having a violent catalog page in front of you is approximately 19%. So it is an increase that happens every year. So if you have a catalog of today and you compare it to the catalog of last year, there might just be some small changes, but they do add up, and when you go back just far enough, you realize how far we have come.
And so why do you think this is the case?
Now, I guess toy companies, of course, have to bring out an exciting new toy every year. And to be fresh and exciting, you have to do something that excites. And of course, doing this with violence is one of the things that you can play with. And of course, Lego has to compete not just with other building toys, but it also has to compete with computer games and so forth. And another thing happened to the Lego company is that they started to use the movie franchise. So we have now Lego Star Wars, we have Lego Lord of the Rings, and all so forth things, superheroes. And these kind of fantasy worlds that are being portrayed there are very often dominated by conflicts. So you would have some sort of good guy fighting with some evil guy. And I think that it brings an emphasis into the gameplay, whereas, let's say, the traditional Lego, like a Lego City, yes, you have a bit of robber, you have a bit of police, but it's still not as far as, shooting at each other, unless you would see quite frequently with Lego Star Wars.
And does this have a negative effect on users?
Now, that is the million-dollar question, and our study was not designed to be able to answer that question, so I cannot give you any further evidence. But what we did do is we looked a bit at the literature of what is known so far about this topic, and there are a lot of studies, and particularly looked at the relationship between violent computer games and aggressive behavior of children. And the evidence so far is inconclusive. So you have some studies that would show a weak connection and other studies that do not show this. So at this point in time, we just do not know.
And that would be the next logical step from this study, do you think? Another study trying to look at that?
Yes and no. So the HIT Lab itself in New Zealand is interested in more in the development of new media and technology. So what we're looking at then is potentially looking at measurement instruments of how we can measure the perceived violence in things like virtual reality or augmented reality, or when you interact with robots. So this is something that we are probably going to focus on next.
Okay then. Dr. Christoph Bartnek from Canterbury University in New Zealand, thank you.
Thank you so much.